What's up, guys? You got II here today, back again, once again, and this time we are bringing you the Hive Mega Beedrill Season 4, Week 4, I believe, match versus Narth Vader. Now, Narth has he brought a pretty interesting team. He brought Metagross, Mega Nancy, Porygon 2, Rotom Wash, Decidueye, and Dragonite. So, he brought basically three things that I wasn't hoping to see. He brought the Mega Diancie, he brought the Decidueye, and he brought the Dragonite. The Decidueye, if it is set up, could definitely be a problem for me. Same with the Dragonite. And Mega Diancie, it doesn't matter what move pool he is, it's definitely going to be a threat. So we got to play around that somehow. So looking at the matchup, I figured that I was either going to lead Mudsdale or the Roserade. Now, if I led Mudsdale, I risked the issue of Decidueye setting up, so I couldn't lead that. I figured he'd want to get rocks up first as soon as possible, so I figured he'd either lead Mega Nancy, Rotom Wash for momentum, or the Metagross, or possibly the Decidueye. Those four I thought he'd lead. Didn't think he'd lead with the Dragonite because I didn't think he'd want to set up this early in the game, but he led Decidueye. And that's fine with me. I led Roserade just for the mid-ground play, just in case he led something that could possibly set up on me. Thankfully, he didn't bring Volcarona, so we don't have to worry about that threat. But he still has some big threats on his team, so we got to play around that somehow. But let's just hop right into the game. He leads Decidueye, and I go for the Shadow Ball first turn as he goes for the Spirit Shackle. Now, here's the thing. Roserade is EV to outspeed Adamant Decidueye, so judging from that damage and by the fact that I actually outsped him, I know that he is Adamant, which leads me to believe that he is an offensive variant, especially judging by this damage. Yeah, that did a lot. So, Shadow Sneak, if he's max attack Adamant, Shadow Sneak has to get a maxed roll in order to kill me. Max roll is 40%, so I figure at this point it's probably in my best interest to stay in. Sucker Punch doesn't kill me heavily, but Shadow Sneak does. I was debating about going for Toxic this turn as well, but I figured if he wanted to risk the Shadow Sneak, I should probably try and get rid of the Decidueye as soon as possible, but he goes into the Diancie, and because it is not Mega Evolved, it takes that relatively well. But we do have a Mega Diancie answer, and that is the Celesteela. If he goes for Rocks, that's unfortunate, but we'll be able to play around that. He goes for Side Shock, which would have killed Roserade definitely, but thankfully Celesteela takes that very well as I now just fire off a Heavy Slam. I know he's going to switch, but again, I don't want to risk him subbing up or doing something weird like that. He goes Metagross though, and now is the time where I expect Stealth Rocks to come up. So I go into Mudsdale, and I basically get up rocks on my own. My thought process is I'm fine trading rocks for rocks, especially because he has Dragonite on his team. So I go for Stealth Rock there. I am the Pasho Berry, so I will take any Hydro Pump he goes for, as I now go for a Toxic, just to weaken that Rotom Wash just a bit more for things like Thundurus, Roserade, and potentially Alakazam. But I think he's going to go for a Hydro Pump that turn, so I go into Roserade as he makes a very good play and goes for Volt Switch again. I don't want Mudsdale to be too weakened because it can still take a hit from Mega Diancie, and Roserade is already weakened to the point where it's not going to be taking many more hits. So it goes out to Mega Diancie as I go back into Celesteela as Power Gym does a decent chunk. And I now just go for Heavy Slam. I'm always Heavy Slamming versus the Mega Diancie because I do not want him to stay in. So he tries to make a read and go for Power Gym again. They probably expected me to go for a different move or switch out, but that is completely fine with me. With Mega Diancie off the field, things are looking up. So now he can go into the Porygon 2 and tracing the Beast Boost. In case he is an offensive Porygon 2, I did not want him to get a special attack boost, but he goes for Ice Beam as I go into my Milotic, and my Milotic can take on relatively any version of Porygon 2 because I do have the Haze, so I will be able to take charge beams for days if I need to. But I double out into Roserade because I know he's going to want to defog these hazards away, and he goes into Rotom Wash just as I predicted. And because Roserade has some speed involved, I expect to outspeed, and I do outspeed, and I get back a lot of health. Unfortunately for me, he is able to defog. With the fact that I'm able to weaken Rotom Wash this low is fantastic. So Rotom Wash is going to die to Toxic sooner or later, but he does switch out and he goes into the Porygon 2 as I believe I just Giga Drain one more time. And Porygon 2 takes a decent chunk of damage. But now I'm going to go back into my Milotic. Milotic covers a lot of things. Unfortunately, I do not have a water type move on my Milotic, so I'm going to have to switch out of here and go back into Mudsdale. Again, I expect him to get rocks, so I'm going to try and get rocks up as well. Dragonite switching is pretty obvious, but again, just in case he didn't, I wanted to get rocks because it also covered a Rotom Wash switching as well. He goes for Dragon Dance, and actually, first turn I do go for the Heavy Slam, and the reason I go for the Heavy Slam is because of the potential Lumberry, which could definitely be an issue. But by going for Heavy Slam this turn, I basically ensure that Alakazam can kill with Power Ice afterwards. I am able to take a Supersonic Sky Strike, I believe. I think it has to be a max roll Adamant in order to kill the Mudsdale at this range because we are very defensive, but I do go for the Toxic because that is my best play as he goes for the Dragon Dance one more time, and this ensures that Alakazam's Hidden Power Ice will kill. I go in second Celestial at this point, just expecting him to go for a Z move or something along those lines, as he just goes for Dragon Claw. So a very good play on his part. If he has Dual Chop, then that is very unfortunate for me, but Alakazam is going to be able to pick up the kill on Dragonite, as he does go for the Iron Head, and he gets the flinch. So props to Alakazam for completely throwing away this match. I'd like to thank Dragonite for showing how bad Alakazam is in this game, and always, but now I basically have to sack something else off. Unfortunately, because he flinched. Thankfully, I was able to land a Toxic, though, with the Mudsdale. Roserade was the least useful mon on my team at this point in the game. The only thing it could do was, I guess, Shadow Ball the Metagross, but at this point I'm still thinking that, okay, I know he's rocks, but just in case he's weakness policy, that would suck very much for me. I'd pretty much lose the game if he was weakness policy, so we want to try and play it safe. Thundurus still has the Z move, can do a lot, can help break Porygon too. He killed the Decidueye. And then Mudsdale can also take a hit from Metagross. So that was my thought process there. And Mudsdale can also Toxic the Porygon too, which was very important. But he does go into Metagross there, as I go into Thundurus because I know I can pretty much kill or weaken heavily pretty much everything on his team. I do go for the Fighting MZ. I need this thing weakened if I want Milotic to win in the back, even after that horrendous flinch on the Alakazam. As he goes for the Ice Punch, just killing Thundurus. But Thundurus did what it was supposed to do. I was surprised he didn't double and expecting like a Z move or something, but Mudsdale can come in, and Mudsdale can take a lot of damage from Ice Punch, but I am able to live that, get the defense raise, and kill the Metagross, so things are still looking up. Milotic does outspeed the Decidueye, so Decidueye cannot beat me, but he goes Porygon too, and that's completely fine with me. I do have the Toxic on the Mudsdale and the Milotic, so regardless, Porygon 2 is being Toxic, and it will lose eventually unless it has the rest. I expect a Thunderbolt here. I want my Milotic basically wins at this point no matter what, because it does outspeed the Decidueye, so I want to keep that thing weakened. And not weakened, I want to keep that thing healthy. But he goes for the Ice Beam, and he gets the freeze. And that's actually fine with me. It kind of forces me to switch out this turn, just to help preserve differential, but it also allows me to switch out because I know he's recovering with the Porygon 2, or doing something like Ice Beam and just killing the Mudsdale, which I'm surprised he did that, but Thunderbolt might have been a better play there. But again, he doesn't know the speed on my Milotic. He doesn't know I'm faster with Decidueye, so faster than Decidueye, so at this point he believes that he can still win, I think. But even then, Milotic is very bulky, especially with the Marble Scale and Flame Orb, so unless Decidueye somehow sped tie with the Roserade in the beginning, I do know that I am faster. Unless it's Yachi Berry, it is not living this Ice Beam. I do go for the Ice Beam, and I kill the Decidueye cleanly. Now, Rotom Wash will die to Hazards, and we managed to pick up a 2-0 win versus Narth. Now, a couple things I learned from this match. One, Alakazam is trash, garbage. Two, Milotic is a god, but I kind of already knew that. And three, Mudsdale is the best tier 5 mon you can ever pick up. But yeah, it was a fun match. Good game to Narth. And yeah, stay tuned for more Hive battles. Peace.